But going to Katherine Albrecht, she's also fighting and praise God, hopefully winning a fight against breast cancer right now. So she might give us an update on that today as well. Katherine, good to have you here with us today.
Well, hey, Alex, it's terrific to be on with you. I can't believe you're doing 27 hours. I think it's fantastic. You could probably do 100 hours and keep going. You're like the Energizer Bunny out there, and I love it because there's just so much we got to be covering. You know, I'm out here in New Hampshire where we got hit by this October, what they're calling the Great Halloween Power Outage, this big storm we got. I'm on day 6 of no power. And the reason I bring that up, I'm actually broadcasting not out of my studio. I had to actually find somebody with power and get an opportunity to get online and connect to you this way. But there's a couple of things about this power outage I want to bring to people's attention, that when the powers that be choose to shut off our power, and I'm not implying that's what happened up here because we got down trees across our power lines, but if someone at some point says, hey, you know what, we're going to turn off your internet, we're going to turn off your power, we are going to be helpless. It is amazing to me watching what happened when we had about 2/3 of the state of New Hampshire and virtually all of New England without power, how everybody goes crazy. And, you know, even those generators, people say, oh, you get prepared to get a generator. The lines at our gas stations are stretching a half a mile. People were saying it was taking 45 minutes to an hour just to get gasoline because everybody's got to refill. I mean, those generators are taking 10, 15 gallons of gas a day. And if they shut that off, people are going to be in the dark, they're going to be cold, and let me tell you, more importantly, they're not going to have access to the internet. And that's been the hardest part for me. I've got kerosene, I've got heat, I've got water, I got all the stuff I need, but boy, I'll tell you, when you are out of communication range and you cannot use that internet, it is mind-blowing what they can do. And then you take a look at the smart meters. You mentioned that at the opening of the show, which is such an important topic, because the smart meters are about more than just making it easier for the power company to read your electric meter and send you a bill. The smart meters have an incredible amount of power to selectively shut off appliances in your home, to communicate with and have your appliances communicate back with the power company and say, hey, she ate 3 pieces of toast today instead of 1. What's going on? Does she have a visitor over? I mean, that level of invasiveness. And now we just had a news story come out telling us that the smart meter can even determine what show you're watching on TV or what DVD, that they actually monitor the amount of power that goes through your television to make light and dark images, and on the basis of that, they could run an algorithm and say exactly what TV show or movie you're watching. Unbelievable, and that's all coming. So, you know, when the power goes out, you start really thinking about that grid.
Well, first they came out with smart meters 5-6 years ago and said, don't worry, we won't control your thermostat. Now they admit they're going to be doing it, and then they're also coming out with, as you know, data transmission down power lines. They're now building circuits in different appliances where that data transmission over power line couples in and spies on what you're doing. They're coming out, and government buildings are testing it, of course, a flicker rate with fluorescent light bulbs that communicates with your computer. That's Associated Press. But let's get into the free speech issues first. Now we've seen David Cameron come out and say we're going to have to restrict free speech. We've seen the bill introduced, even CNET News, as you know, on Monday admitted. And they have members of Congress saying this new piracy bill is the end of the internet. No judge, no jury. They just shut down your website. ICANN saying they'll do it. We have Google now in its transparency report admitting the feds are telling them take stuff down, quote, critical of government. Police are telling them to take stuff down. Now when I upload a video, even if it has 30 seconds of a newscast that I'm analyzing under law, fair use, everything, it's commentary. Companies are registering even their commercials and things, and it automatically flags it and won't let us post it. I mean, that's the kind of smart systems they've got to surveil AI, everything we're doing. An example is police are saying they're going to get the system that's being built into the new iPhones, where they just broadcast a feed or a certain type of light to where they take control of your smartphones where you can't videotape them. That's what the globalists are doing. They're engineering into all the tech through global conventions, the systems that surveil, control us, and then we pay for it when we purchase the product. I mean, it's so diabolical.
Yeah, they built it in, and you know what I always clarify, Alex, because as a privacy advocate, somebody who really works on those privacy issues, I always make it clear to people, listen, privacy is not an end, it's a means. You know, privacy or taking your privacy away is a means of achieving something else. And in the case of us, the citizens, what your privacy does is it gives you independence. It gives you anonymity. It gives you freedom of action. It gives you freedom. And so, you know, when people say, well, why do you really care who knows blah, blah, blah? I say that, you know, I personally care. But even if you don't care, that's not the point. Privacy is a form of power. It is a means to an end. And if someone takes away your privacy, the next thing they will take away is your freedom. And I'll give you an example. Why is it people are so up in arms about gun registration? The reason people get upset about gun registration is they know that once the government knows who has the guns, then when the time comes, they'll go knocking on those people's doors and take them.
Exactly. Let me stop you. They'll come take them, and that's happened in every country where this has happened, from Nazi Germany to Australia. Exactly. Privacy is really your safety, and governments that want your privacy are always building intelligence on you. It doesn't matter you did nothing wrong. Maybe they want your farm. Maybe they want your wife. Maybe they want to kill you and take your kids and press them into the Roman army. You know, the point is that it's not that we want our privacy because we're bad. It's because historically the bad guys want the intelligence on you.
Well, that's beautifully said, and in the same way that you want to hang on to your privacy so you can hang on to your independence and your belongings and your freedoms, they want to take it away for the same reason. The reason people want to know everything you buy is not because they want to know everything you buy. It's because at some point in the future, they're going to want to be able to do exactly what Hitler did during World War II or leading up to it, which is to say certain people just don't qualify to buy food. You know, they said the Jews are not allowed to buy bread and milk and eggs. Yeah, you can go buy other stuff, but, you know, the basic foodstuffs, if you're Jewish, you couldn't buy them.
Well, it's currency controls. It's always an internal control system. Now the TSA's asking about a few silver coins. But if you expand into that, now they've passed a law where secondhand shops can't take cash in Louisiana. It's about tracking everything and taxing it to destroy. See, the colonies were being destroyed by the taxes because in England, the manufacturers wanted them shut down. The power to tax is the power to destroy. People say, well, who cares if the government knows everything I'm doing? The point is they want to destroy you. They want to shut you down. This is scorched earth. Catherine, stay there. Incredible. I want you to continue along that point about why this is so important, dealing with the currency controls. I'm calling it currency controls. What's the term called where they start tracking all the money and transactions in a country always during inflationary periods? It'll pop in my head in a moment. You're welcome to call in to the broadcast at 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Then, when we start the next hour, it's going to be open phones, and we'll go to our phone system here in-house, because it's going to be commercial-free. And 4 breaks, I'll play little special reports by Darren McBreen. We've got some other things lined up so I can take breaks from time to time. And we do have David Icke, George Norrie coming up, Mike Adams, Tex Mars, and so many others, Gerald Celente, you name it, Fritz Springmeier, Jim Mars, Chapman, Alan Watt. The list goes on. And we're going to premiere some videos, special interviews here as well coming up. It is the 2011 Money Bomb. In fact, I should have brought up to Tarpley. He's been down here. He's seen it. Our full studios and what we've built in the last 4 years with your support with the last 3 Money Bombs. And we've got a lot of donations coming in. People are calling to donate at 888-253-3139. I'd like to thank you for your donation and your continued support of InfoWars and what we're doing here. We're all in this together. 888-253-3139. And, of course, you can also go donate at InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com or just InfoWars.com. You can find it right there. And you can also spread the link to the 27-hour broadcast of the video feed. That's up at Infowars.com, so please help spread the word about that as well. Now, Catherine, you just went to the heart of this. They're setting up capital controls inside the country. They're making it hard to get your money outside the country. They're tracking everything we do. There's a reason we had privacy. There's a reason we had a Fourth Amendment, and now it's basically completely gone. I mean, the stuff that we were worried about 10 years ago, it's already surpassed that. And you were bringing up this fact that, again, it's not us that has something to hide. Look at how secretive government is. As it more and more wants to know everything we're doing, and is caught framing us as well, that's another issue of privacy. Now they want to be completely secret. Please continue.
Yeah, well, that's for darn sure, isn't it? And, you know, this E-Parasites Act that you were talking about, this act that basically says you can shut down a website if there's something on it that somebody says is copyrighted. You know, I was thinking you can go on my website, KatherineAlbrecht.com or SpyChips.com or even NoCards.org, my ancient website where we were fighting shopper cards. And on those websites, it occurred to me, under this new E-Parasites bill, if it passes, you can have a picture of me in a protest, right, with a big stop RFID sign, standing under a Walmart sign in the snow. I did that in Amherst, New Hampshire. I've done that in Texas, in Dallas. I've done it all over the country. But you could take that picture and make the argument that because I've got Walmart's logo up there in the photo, even though I took a picture on a street corner with you standing under their sign, that I'm violating their copyright. Now, where this gets interesting is because, of course, this bill says if you violate copyright, then we can basically shut your website down. Now, there's a couple catches here, though. You can't shut down a website that's based in another country. So the first thing I would do, or if they did that to Infowars.com, first thing I would do, of course, is I would say, well, let me get an offshore ISP or an offshore hosting service. And
the problem is they're doing
over there.
So they're doing a global treaty, though. The Russians and the Chinese do this everywhere. And again, just like Righthaven, the copyright troll, just had their assets seized by federal marshals. They claim similar things and were defeated roundly in every court case that we've seen so far that went to court. But it's a fraud. It's made up. The lawyers are attempting to tell people you've got to have permission to shoot video of a street corner if there's a McDonald's sign. No, as long as you're under news and information and free speech, you're covered. So it's a fraud, but they tell you you can't show an image of Walmart that you took. That's our copyright. And then there's no judge, no jury, no nothing. They just take your website down. It's the incredible arbitrary fraud of this, and it's all just a power grab. It's like when McDonald's tried to take the name from the McDonald family and said, you can't use this on your castle in Scotland that pays for itself by having a bed and breakfast in it. You can't call it McDonald Castle. And they said, well, this name is 1,600 years old. And they sued them. The McDonald's had to fight them and win. But it's this attempt to bring in this tyranny.
Yeah, that they own everything. And, of course, the Internet, and I'm discovering this after 6 days of being out of power and off the Internet, I don't think we recognize how much we've come to rely on it and how much we've almost eliminated other means of communication. And that's when I get a little bit nervous when I start saying, okay, so we've got this system. It works really well for us advocates to find each other. But if they take it away, we don't have backup systems.
Stay there. Let's talk about that. Long segment coming up with Dr. Katherine Albrecht. My friends, it is so incredible to see what's happening in our society. To witness world government being announced, global currencies being pushed as a solution to all the world's problems. Imminent attack on Iran unless we get the word out and stop this. Total surveillance. Lampposts going up all over the country with microphones and cameras in them. This was already happening 13 years ago. It's in my film Police State 2000 I put out in 99. I have the documents from 1998. This is a criminal group that has set up a fraud. The public is living in a false reality, and they are setting up a giant DARPA-controlled grid known as the Internet that is meant to absorb society, make it cashless, track everything, and then add fines and fees. That's another problem with cashless society. Oh, we'll put $5 fee on all your transactions. Now you pay to keep your money with us. Now companies make you get automatic transfer. Now you can't use that cash in that secondhand transaction. Now Homeland Security came out yesterday and said paying with cash is suspicious. And they told hotels, spy on people. Dig through your luggage. But nobody dig through the Fed's luggage. All caught bringing in narcotics. Catherine, you were getting in, and then we're going to go to some calls here. But I want to kind of shut up for 10 minutes or so and give you the floor here. I want you to run through for people, because you were getting into the fact that it's being set up to where we can't operate without it, and old communication systems are going away. Like, a lot of people want to continue to have pirate FM, micro FM. I think it's a great idea, as long as it doesn't interfere with the commercial spectrum. Now they're handing FM translators to all the big companies to put on mindless stuff like comedy or whatever. No local programming, no local interest, nothing that serves the community. And now the FCC's been talking about making it to where you can't pick up a reception in your new digital radio with all the cars coming out unless it's got a code authorizing it. So even if you put up, like they used against the Soviets, a pirate FM in, say, Romania, it won't even be picked up by the phone. Just like they can blacklist Infowars.com or alternative media. People need to realize we're entering a time where you're not just going to be able to tune into all this. People need to appreciate it. They need to understand how important it is. They need to tell everybody now about Infowars.com, about the 27-hour transmission and the free video streams that are up there right now to create a viral spread of this information. They need to donate at Infowars Money Bomb so we can... I tell people sign up at the Infowars Insider, because we've been told by our experts that email is something that even if they shut us all down with that list, I could still write articles or with compression do short audios or videos and encode that and send that out to people. So we need people to sign up there for that free newsletter. I mean, we really are mounting an assault against the globalists who've created this artificial habitat for us that they're now phasing us into. So, Catherine, you've got the floor. I want you to break down what you were getting into, the threats you see, other facets, other areas, the whole futurist system, what's driving this, what the master plan is. Then we'll go to calls.
Well, and that's what I want to get into is some of the solutions. You're talking about, sending out encrypted email, getting people onto InfoWars. These are all things that people should be doing. And, I'll send anybody who will ask me, hey, where do I get the information? I'll say, Infowars.com. I've got my websites up. There's a lot of places out there where people can go. You do an extraordinary job of being a clearinghouse for a lot of that. But let me also tell you, in terms of encryption, and when we start talking solutions, what drives me crazy is when people on our team, people who ought to know better, are sending those emails through Gmail, for example, or signing up for Google voicemail, for example, because Google is reading all those emails. And if they're using Google as their search engine, and I've told your listeners many times before, startpage.com is the company that I recommend as an alternative to Google, because Google is reading all of the searches that you do. So if you go in there and you search for global control grid, or you search for offshore tax havens, or you search for smart meter opposition, whatever it is you're putting in there, the fact that you typed it in, Google is using, and they are creating these incredibly detailed profiles. We know that one of the founders of Google said he wants the company to become like the mind of God. And you look at that and you say, okay, so they're scanning in all the world's books. They have become the primary means of communication in this country today, believe it or not, because that's where you go if you want to figure out, ask your question. Hey, give me a recipe for cinnamon toast, or tell me what's the latest on the power outage, or whatever it might be. People log on to Google unthinkingly. So there are some tools out there that people can use. One of them is SSL encryption. And the reason this is important, and I'm going to take a minute, and I usually don't like to get too technical on people, so I'll explain this. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer Encryption. And what it does is it takes your communication through the Internet, which normally goes out wide open. It's like a postcard versus a sealed envelope with, a bunch of layers of duct tape on it. That's the difference. When you send an email or you log on to a website, you are essentially sending a postcard to your Internet service provider. That's your Charter, your AT&T, your Verizon, whoever's giving you your net connection is monitoring where you go. They're monitoring what you send. They have the capability of reading your email. If you are sending from or to a Gmail account, a Yahoo account, or a Hotmail account, and many of these other free email services, not only that, but you're sending a postcard that they are reading and recording. So they take all the words out of your email, they put that into your giant profile, and the only way you can protect yourself against that level of observation is through SSL encryption. Now, people may remember a couple of years ago there was something called Pretty Good Privacy, or PGP. Really hard to implement, not very popular. I tried to use it myself, and I'm a privacy person. Even I said, oh, this is a pain. So the whole PGP privacy thing, StartPage is working on an email program that will be totally private, totally encrypted, and will incorporate PGP. It's going to be called Start Mail. It's coming out probably the end of 2012. But in the meantime, StartPage, and if people don't know what that is, Alex, you know, it's the private search engine that people need to be using instead of Google, because they don't record all of the stuff you do. They don't record your IP address. They don't record your searches. They don't know your identity. They don't use tracking cookies. And I can vouch for them because I'm actually now a VP with the company after having him as a guest on the show a couple years back. So StartPage just made an announcement this week that they have switched over to complete SSL encryption. And now what that means is that when you log on to StartPage and you make a search, so let's say you look up offshore tax havens, or you look up InfoWars, or, you know, the latest story that we've got out there. I don't know, maybe those electric lights, the street lights that can listen to you. So when you search for that in Google, they know it. Or you look for Ron Paul, they know who all the supporters are. But if you go to StartPage and you search for that, what is new is now not only does StartPage not record you at startpage.com, but your ISP can't see what you're doing with StartPage. So your ISP no longer can record your searches. Now, the thing that has people a little confused, though, is if you click on a link. So let's say you go on. It's just like Google, by the way. And, in fact, StartPage now returns 100% Google results totally privately. So we go to Google, we grab Google's results, we strip everything away from them, and then we reserve them to you. So when you go there, if you click on a link, now you're leaving the SSL encryption. You lose that encrypted protection unless you do one thing, and we're the only search engine that offers this. Click the word proxy. There's actually a little link under your search results for the outside third-party website. It'll say View Through Ixquick Proxy. Now, if you click that, so let's say you want to go to a government website. You know, I tried to go to just the National Weather Service website, and I have a whole bunch of things on my computer that alert me when they're doing stuff. And I had something saying, they're running a script on this page. They're loading cookies into my browser. I was like, get me out of here. So I went to startpage.com. I punched in National Weather Service.
And you were able to get there. Well, go ahead and finish up.
Well, what they do is StartPage gets the National Weather Service, loads it for me, and the National Weather Service never sees me, can't put a cookie on my browser, can't run a script, doesn't even know that I was there, and my ISP doesn't know I went to the National Weather Service because everything is now encrypted. So it's pretty much the most private way you can surf the Internet, and I'm excited.
It certainly is. Now, going back here, though, we all know that authoritarian regimes go through your mail, and people would get mad if the post office was going through their mail, which they now do. But if it's digital mail, we're just going to have an AI computer read that, scan that, put it in your algorithm, and these companies are all on record doing this, and then you learn they have a partnership with the government because you, when you sign up the terms, don't understand you're waiving your rights. Now that's given to the government. And now we see the big mega corporations basically trying to get government to just fully sign government power over to them. It is completely predatory. I want to go to some phone calls, but Katherine, I know you've been tracking this. Is it even kind of still amazing you to actually see it happening, where there's all these calls now to start censoring the alternative media? I mean, I see that as a real coming of age for the alternative media, becoming the true dominant media. But it's also scary, the perfect storm of government, major corporations, and media that are all on the hot seat, getting together now, spinning the end of the Internet as we know it, as members of Congress that have read this bill have said.
Internet is the biggest threat that they have ever faced, because for the first time in all of history, in the history of humanity, millions of people can communicate with one another instantaneously, and the government hates that. Now, they're more than happy if you want to communicate and say, oh, how much you really love their, President Obama's latest bill, but if you're going to get on there and talk about how much you know what's really going on, then they got to put an end to that. So they are coming up with, whether it's terrorism or shutting down on financial crimes, they're going to come up with a reason, they're going to have an excuse, and they're going to find ways, first of all, to monitor. This is what I was saying at the beginning of the show. You monitor first, and then you start clamping down. And that is why, again, I'm just going to repeat it. People need to find ways to use the Internet and get out of the monitoring. Anybody writing, I'm to the point where I almost won't even answer a Gmail. If you write to me from a Gmail account, I don't want to write you back, because I know that everything I say to you, I may as well be saying into a megaphone.
Well, let me expand on that. Let me expand on that. We have people that sign up for our emails, but if they're with Gmail or others, Gmail will complain and call our mail spam. So, I mean, they're just total Nazis. They're out of control. And I agree, we should try to do alternative systems and develop those systems outside of Big Brother's purview. But we should politically and legally try to challenge the entire unconstitutional action on its face as well. Mike in Wisconsin, you're on the air with Dr. Katherine Albrecht. Go ahead.
Oh, Katherine, it's a pleasure. Alex, you're the man. What's up?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for joining us. Are you watching us on the free video streams at Infowars.com, or are you listening?
Yes, I am. I'm watching online right now, and also I'm glad you guys are talking about online communication, because I'm in my mid-20s, and I've learned there's lots of other ways to communicate online. I don't know if Catherine's ever heard of Internet Relay Chat. Or
IRC. Yeah, it's funny. IRC was my big addiction back in graduate school. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of IRC, Internet Relay Chat, absolutely.
Are you talking about like BBS systems, and then you've got all... Yeah.
Exactly. And the nice thing about it, you can actually set them up from computer to computer. So if you've got the skills or have a friend with the skills, you can actually set up an encrypted stream just between you and a single other person. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can use it. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of IRC. It's kind of fallen out of favor with Facebook and everything else. But, yeah, I'd say that would be a great thing for people to revive.
That you're aware of it, because there are a lot of us out there that still know how to use programs like that, and we'll try to keep it alive and keep the word out for things like that. But real quick,
yeah,
Alex,
and keep developing the new systems, because what we need to be doing, and this is what I love about Start Page, when they passed this thing that said, hey, we want to start, all of the ISPs have to log all the traffic that people do, all the websites you go to, we were like, whoa, time out. How can we technologically, in this era where we got so many skills, we got great technology on our team, on the Freedom team. And so the team there at Start Page, we got together and said, all right, so how do we get around it? And so that's how we came up with a proxy. We said, yeah, log away, ISPs, be my guest. You record every place I go, because you won't be able to see a darn thing. I can go to 100 websites in a day, and you won't know.
Well, here's a San Francisco Chronicle article today. Smart meters send almost 10,000 signals a day. I mean, yeah, instead of a guy coming by once a week, find out what you used. Oh, we're Greeks bearing gifts, Troy. Take our Trojan horse. And then it's tagged onto your bill to pay for something, spying on what you watch on TV. And you tell somebody this. I tell people this stuff 10 years ago. They laugh at me. Now it's in their face. I mean, this is such an out-of-control system. Sir, you had a question?
I actually run We Are Change Milwaukee, and I know this is a little off topic, but I'm going to be quick. The General Assembly in Milwaukee, I offered to debate some of the leaders on camera, in the public eye, and they denied me. And I started to investigate deeper into the leadership of the Occupy Milwaukee movement, and I found out that one of the leaders is actually part of the Freedom Road socialist organization.
No, almost, listen. The socialists know they're not popular, so they call for a demonstration against Wall Street corruption that's actually funding socialism. And then the well-meaning people show up, and then the socialists come and don't say who they are and try to co-opt it. But they've pretty much failed. That's why they're now going to billy club them. It may be to actually make people have sympathy for them to some more come out. I'm not sure. But, Catherine, what's your view on the whole Occupy Wall Street situation?
Well, you know, they're not our team, that's for sure. The people out there. And, you know, the more they call for socialism, the more the big corporations are going to say, oh, please don't throw me in the briar patch, anything but the government takeover of our business. They'd love nothing more for the government and the corporations to become one, because then it'll be them against us, and they're going to be like the 800-pound gorilla on their end of the teeter-totter, and we'll just be the little tiny, 5-pound public. So they would love, George Soros, it's been said, is behind a lot of this stuff, because they would totally love total fascism, where the government takes over all the banks, creates a big world bank, takes over all the businesses, all the petroleum companies, creates one big global system. The fat cats will eat at the trough, and we little guys will have zero power because they'll control everything, all consolidated.
Well, Jesse Ventura was on yesterday, and he's like, I think Occupy Wall Street's good, at least the folks he's talked to, and I've run into a lot of them. They're tired of Wall Street taking over Washington. Well, it's actually certain elements, the mega banks, the globalists that have taken it over, who've gotten the tens of trillions. It's not more money that's needed in taxes. It's that we need our money back that's gone offshore. The big banks won't loan our own money we gave them, and then we pay them back interest on the bailout we gave them. I mean, that's the message you've got to get. And I've tried to go to Occupy Wall Street. Rob Jacobson has. So many others. And their leaders come over and they say, listen, you get out of here with that. Okay, we want socialism. Now, the crowds themselves are good people. And they always say there's no leader here. But it turns out time and time again, it is the Democratic Party. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I got to say, I'm all for the crowds out there because they're doing the right thing. They're standing up and they're trying to get them and trying to say enough is enough. We're sick of it. What is disgusting to me is what always happens. We saw it over in Egypt too. You had the public rise up and say no, and then crafty powers that be are working behind the scenes to figure out how to take that momentum and turn it into something ugly. So I would say to all the Occupy folks, you guys rock. But be very careful who you're listening to, because if you're listening to people who say the government has to take over the corporations, you're hearing the wrong message. That's not going to be the solution. That's going to leave you even more powerless when those two forces consolidate and then together work against you. We're really going to be in trouble.
You're right. Let's go quickly to calls. Ivan in Florida. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, brother.
I wanted to take advantage because you have Katherine Albrecht on the show, and
yes,
she's
hi, Ivan.
expert in RFID technology and things of that nature.
Right.
Yeah, I noticed.
Go ahead.
In the toll roads, how you have the scanners that read you can buy a Sun Pass, things of that, and you don't have to pay the tolls. Well, I've noticed in Orlando here, they've been putting those on public roads, and I was wondering if that's just like a local phenomenon, or is it? Or have you noticed that?
No, it's nationwide.
No, but let me tell you, you SunPass people were the guinea pigs, in fact. You guys were the very first. The SunPass down in Florida was the first state that had those toll transponders used to experiment with traffic surveillance. And so what's happening now is anybody stupid enough and lazy enough to have a toll transponder on their windshield instead of stopping and paying cash like all good Americans who value their freedom ought to do. You guys are the vanguard of total automobile tracking, and it's happening right now. They can put a reader for that anywhere in the country. They're putting them in gantries. That's the overpasses on the freeway, miles from the toll roads.
I saw an article, Catherine, 10 years ago where San Francisco was doing it.
That's right. They're doing it. And, you want to speak about RFID. The other thing you don't want to do, please don't get a toll transponder. If you have one, get rid of it. My husband and I call it the privacy tax. We spend a little longer in line. We have to actually carry cash with us, but that's what protects your privacy. The other thing you don't want to get, and if you have one, tear it up, is an enhanced driver's license to get into Canada or Mexico.
It's got an RFID, same thing with the passport, but expanding on that, Catherine, it's not only that, we've got to keep using cash as much as we can, or they're going to totally phase it out.
Amen. Amen. So, start doing your grocery shopping with cash, folks. Start doing everything you do with cash. They always say use it or lose it with your muscles. Use it or lose it with your privacy, and especially with your cash. One thing I want to say, though, the passports, the booklet passports, have a read range of about 2 inches. The enhanced driver's licenses, though, have a read range of 35 feet. They're not encrypted, and in fact, every Walmart that is using RFID to read the underwear shelf, not making this up, the actual underwear, can read your enhanced driver's license right through your purse or pocket as you stand there in front of the underwear. No exaggeration, absolutely 100%.
And by the way, the globalists
are... Walmart can't even prevent it.
The globalists are super ultra bold, and they know that with all this RFID, it's going to cause a rash of identity theft. Their answer will then be RFID with a biometric print. That's how they're going to force this in. I appreciate your call there from Florida. Good to hear from you. Katherine, how's your health?
Well, I'm doing good. I've got a new blog to let people know. My regular website's KatherineAlbrecht.com, where all my radio archives are. But I just started a blog at WordPress.KatherineAlbrecht.com. Love to hear from people, but I'm posting updates on my health. I am almost done with chemotherapy, starting radiation therapy, feeling actually really strong and really fantastic. So I think I'm going to beat this thing.
Well, praise God for that, and the prayers certainly won't hurt. Katherine, I really appreciate you spending time with us here on the 4th Annual InfoWars Money Bomb. I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Hey, congrats with that 27-hour thing. You go, Alex.
Hey, I just ate something. I'm feeling good now. Thank you, Katherine. All right, now we've got a bunch of other guests coming up, but this hour is going to be wide open. Michael, Tommy, and Patrick, and Jared, they need to be given off-air, John, the call-in number at our studio so I can go to them first before I give out the general number for everybody else. I'm going to come back into the 5th hour of the 27-hour transmission. On the other side, it won't be on Genesis or the satellite. You've got to go to Infowars.com to find the free audio and video streams right now. 20+ hours more coming up. 22 hours straight ahead.